managing that. If it's walking, if it's via bus, if it's whatever transportation is. So today we're here for our exchange assigned German exchange program. We're going to talk about both of our destinations. We're going to talk about the requirements. We're going to talk about what it looks like, price, all of those good things. And this is a perfect time for you to ask any questions that you might have. We are a long-standing partner of Gießen School. We have been doing it for 18 years now. And we are very proud to bring another collaboration, which is Bad Salzuflen. So you'll see a little bit of two different informations, and then at the end, I'll go ahead and explain if you have any specific question for each of the exchanges, okay? So with the exchanges, we want to make sure that our students are experiencing education, friendship, and discovery. What does this mean? It means that we try to foster and make sure that the students are immersed in the culture, right? So for this one, we do German, but we also have Spain, we also have Mexico. So for each of the exchanges, we want to make sure that this is creating a lifelong impact in our students. So with that, I'm going to start with Bad Salzuflen. So what is an exchange? Specifically, a true exchange. A true exchange involves hosting a student from another school, in this case, Germany, Bad Salzuflen, Rudolf Brandt, and having him in your house for the period of time that the exchange is for. It could be 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So you host that student, and then it's a direct connection with our AEA German language curriculum. So, and going back a little bit to the first point, so whenever you host a student here, and then we finish that portion of the exchange, we go back to Germany the following next school year, and now your student stays in that same student's house that you hosted here. So basically, it's a swap. So for Bad Salzuflen, it's up to 10 days. It depends after I collaborate with our partner in Germany. Sometimes it could be a little less, but sometimes it could be a little more. It doesn't go beyond 14 days, specifically for the Bad Salzuflen one. So in this one, we do have an educational trip to Cologne where we visit the cathedral. And you have everything on the packets. If you grabbed a folder, there's a packet with the slideshows there for you. So we do a one-day educational trip to Cologne. We visit the cathedral. We go to the Lindt Chocolate Museum, and we do have a private tour. So students are completing a travel diary and also some work packets that the school provides for them so that when we are abroad, we have something to work on. And I'll probably answer a couple of questions that I know some parents usually have. All work that needs to be completed during the time that we are out, I usually have a conversation, a negotiation with teachers, and we come up with a plan. For example, state testing, SBAC. SBAC for the German exchange students, the participants, I usually have a separate schedule for them, and they usually test with me in my office in separate settings. So that usually, it could be different timings. Sometimes it's early in April, or sometimes it's later in April. For instance, this year we are leaving for Bad Salzuflen April 29th, so we're going to be testing right after spring break. So with this, the time frame for Bad Salzuflen is 2 school weeks during the school time, meaning that we will be there for 2 full school weeks and 2 full weekends. German students visit us typically and historically during September, or it could be October. This year we hosted them October 30th. It was a little later in the year based on how we have been hosting them in the past. And it was a very successful host because they were able to be here for our fall festival. And some of them celebrated Halloween with some of the families that they stayed with. And then we were also able to have a Dia de los Muertos celebration here. So they had the opportunity to experience more than just our American culture. They were able to see also the culture for Mexico with the Dia de los Muertos celebration. Uh, the trip cost, it is approximate. I cannot give you an exact cost for this. This is going to vary widely on and depend on the flights. The flights is our biggest factor for this, but it should not cost more than $2,000 and a minimum of $1,400. And with this price, everything is included. What does that mean? It means that the flight is included and all of the field trips that we do in Germany are included. Host families, when you host and when your student stays in Germany, are expected to provide food for your student every day, just like if it was a daughter or a son that you're hosting here, and then vice versa in Germany. Um, we usually we used to have really large numbers, but in the past couple of years, we've come to the conclusion with our German partners that a much smaller group is best for our students in terms of chaperoning, in terms of the outings that we do. I think one year we had about 38 participating students from AEA, and we all had only one destination. So we were all at Gießen. So by the time that we combined the students, it was above 70 students. So that was a huge, huge number, and we needed lots and lots of chaperones. So we've decided to condense that number between 10 to 15 students per destination. And then if you are here today and you are on my roster, you get priority if you apply or when you apply, as soon as I have your name written down on the sign-in sheet. Maximum, I covered that. So the student-teacher ratio is a little bit different. So I am the coordinator. I always travel with your student. So you will always see me and the exchanges. And then if I need to bring along one chaperone, I'll bring one. If I need to bring along two chaperones, I'll bring two. For example, today or this exchange this year, I will be bringing two chaperones alongside with me. So that means there will be three adults there. But past years, it's only been two. So a minimum is two. It could go up to four. It all depends on the needs that we have for that specific school year. For example, this school year, we're going to bring along Miss Andrea. She's going to be traveling along with us. And then, so it just depends. But minimum two, maximum four for student ratio. We do have a travel insurance, and it is included with the price that you already see in that slideshow. So the exchange student will live in your house for the period of time that we have the exchange for. It could be 2 or 3 weeks, no longer than 3 weeks. The students will have 1 or 2 trips together, possibly the Sioux and a Coronado bike tour. This is for Bad Salzuflen. And the exchange students will have 2 field trips on their own, which will be the Midway Museum and the Sailboat Tour. Here are a couple of pictures. You can look at those on your packet. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. So basically, you treat that student as your brother or sister, as your son or daughter. And the only thing I do ask, if you are taking your host student more than 3 hours away, that you have that communication with the host family in Germany and that you would let me know. So now we are going to talk about Gießen. We have been doing the Gießen exchange since 2009. It's the same thing. It's a true exchange, meaning it's a swap between the American student and the German student. It is a direct connection with our AEA curriculum as I work with our German teacher here at AEA. For this one, I didn't update that, but for this one is 19 students in Hedeshula. So it's 19 days, sorry. So this one's a little longer. So that's the difference between Batzal, Tuflen, and Gießen. One is 10 to 14, and this is 14 to 19 days. It could be a little less, it could be a little more. That's why I give you the range between 14 and 19. So for this one, we do a 3-day educational trip to Nuremberg and Munich, meaning that myself and whoever is accompanying the students, the other two chaperones or the other chaperone, travel with our students from Gießen to Munich. It's about a 6-hour ride. So we stop in Nuremberg, we do a little tour at the city center there, and then we hop in the bus again, and then we go to Munich. In Munich, we do stay at a hostel, and then we do a couple of field trips there. We do the mines, we do the castles, and we do a couple of museums. So that is one of the biggest difference between Bad Salzuflen and Gießen. In Gießen, we do have that built into our exchange, and it's in the middle of the program. So we usually go 1 week in Gießen, and then we go to Munich, and then we come back, and then it is the last week, and then we return. Same thing as Bad Salzuflen, we complete a travel diary. I make any arrangements that I need to make with their teachers to make sure that everyone is completing whatever they need to be completing, state testing, and what so forth. So for Gießen, this one is a direct partnership with our GAP program, our German American program. So this one, that is why is a little longer, so 3 weeks. And that is one of the requirements, it to be 3 weeks. This one's a little bit more expensive because we do have that field trip or outing in the middle of the program. This one typically runs between $1,800 and $3,000. All inclusive includes the same thing that I mentioned in Bad Salzuflen, plus everything for the Munich trip. And for that, they do include breakfast, lunch, and dinner during our stay in Munich. And then same thing, we've decided to consolidate these exchanges and make them in smaller groups, so 10 to 15 students per exchange. Same explanation about the chaperones. It could vary, but 2 to 15, 2 to 4, sorry, maximum 4. And for this one, we do have a travel insurance as well. So in terms of placement, in the past, we used to let students choose which program we were going to be using. So that's going to be a change this year. So we're going to have you in the application. There should be a question asking what is your preferred destination, either Gießen or Bad Salzuflen. And that's a conversation that you guys can have as a family. And we're going to try to accommodate, but it's all going to be dependent on how many students we have, how many applications we have for Bad Salzuflen, how many applications we have for Gießen, and then I will probably communicate with you via email, letting you know that your student has been offered one or the other, and then you are able to accept or decline. So if you have your phone, you can scan the QR code that's in the packet, you can start your application, and the application is live as of now. And we do have a limit as to when you can apply. That it's going to be until April 29th, which is when I leave to Germany. So my goal is to have everything ready so that when I am in Germany, I can start prepping for our next exchange with my partner in Germany. So that is basically all the most important information. I know some parents have some questions. So if you have any questions, this is the perfect time to do so. And then you'll see some pictures. You can look at those pictures in the packet if you'd like. So any questions? Does anyone have any questions? No? Okay. Yes, sorry. Mm-hmm. That's okay.
We go at separate times, so our students here go to Germany and then we get the German child in our home.
So we host first. We host during September or October, depending on the dates because Germany does have like a fall break. So we host first, then they return back to Germany, and then we go to Germany the next school year. So, for example, Adamari is in sixth grade, seventh. So Adamari would end up going in eighth grade. So that is why it is only offered to current sixth graders and seventh graders. Because correct. Yes. Unless you are a new student coming in, this is a new thing that we're doing this year too. All the new students that are coming in as current sixth graders for the next school year, they will be able to apply. But typically it's only sixth and seventh because we end up going until the next school year for the current students. Yes. And we go May, June of every year. Yes. There's 4 field trips in each exchange, with the exception of Gießen. It has a little more because of that portion in the middle. Any questions? Oh, and something I forgot to mention, this is for these exchanges, the German exchanges, we are required to host a student. So in order to be able to participate, we need you to be able to host a student. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have a separate room for that student or his or her own room. It's perfectly fine to share. It's perfectly fine to do inflatable mattresses as long as it's an appropriate place for the student to be sleeping and they have an appropriate place for them to store their like luggage and put their stuff in. There's no need for a specific room for them. If you have an extra room, then that's great, but there's no requirement in terms of one specific room for the German exchange student. Mhm. So they will stay with the same student's family that you are hosting. So whenever you apply, so you apply, let's say you decide to apply today, you apply today, I receive the applications by April 29th. When I'm in Germany, me and my partner do the matchings together. So then when I come back, I have the matchings ready for you. And I start sending those before we start school so that you and the other family in Germany and your students start communicating. I always encourage video chats, FaceTime, text, anything that starts that communication so that when we go to the airport, our students know who they're looking for and we already have some sort of connection. And I also encourage for the connection and the communication to continue until we leave for Germany next year in May, June. Any other question? Yes. We have had parent chaperones in the past. We're not offering this year, but I don't know yet for this one. It could change, but as of now, parents are usually not able to apply. And something that I did forget to mention, we do have full ride scholarships, partial scholarships, percentage scholarships. If you think that you need a scholarship, you can email me directly and I can set that up separately between me and you. We do not want the money to be an impediment for the students to make this, to experience this. We are the only middle school in the county of San Diego that offers this type of exchange. So we do not want the money to be a problem. So if you think that that might be something that you're worried about, or that's the only portion of the presentation that you're like, híjole, that's a little too expensive, just message me directly and we can get you that scholarship. Yes. Yes, of course. If there's any specific things that you have that want to talk to me about or that you're a little bit concerned about, you can talk to me directly. You can email me or text me. I'll put up my information right now on the board so that you are able to do that. Our partners in Germany are usually very flexible. And whenever there is a special situation with a student or with a family member, as long as we communicate it and both families are in accordance, it's usually fine. Yeah. Okay. Um, something that it's worth mentioning too. So our flights are always the same. So we fly San Diego, Munich. So that's a great route for us. So we fly directly to Europe, and then we do, if it's Basel-Zuflen, Munich, Hanover, or if it's Gießen, Munich, Frankfurt. In the past, we used to have a San Diego, Frankfurt. It was a direct connect flight to Frankfurt. So that was pretty amazing, but they took it away and then they haven't brought it back after COVID. So each of the destinations, that's San Diego, Hanover, San Diego, Munich, Munich, Hanover, and then it's 1 hour drive to Bad Salzuflen, and then same for Gießen, San Diego, Munich, Munich, Frankfurt, 1 hour drive to Gießen. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, go ahead. Yes. So for this trip, because we are flying internationally, we do need your passport booklet. So you are in a perfect time to start looking at that, checking that your passport is valid. It does need to be valid 6 months past our arrival date in Germany. Some say 3, but I like to play it on the safe side, which is 6 months. And if you need to renew, you can do it now, you can do it later. I usually send out emails with reminders saying, this is your reminder to please start your passport renewal process. And then when it's getting closer, I always ask like, the date for like it's getting too close. So you get several reminders from me in terms of all the important things. And then once you're in the program and you have been decided to go and we have hosted and the students have returned, we will host a meeting. And that usually happens either before spring break or after spring break. For example, this year, next week, I will have my notarization meetings, meaning that I invite a notary here at AEA. He's right stationed at the front desk, and we go over the contract here. We go all of the details. And once you are ready, you can sign your contract. You need to bring a government issued ID, and then we notarize that with our notary, Sam, that comes here and has been coming with us for many, many years. The cost for each of the signatures is $15, and we do need 2 signatures. So that means it's $30 per student. And we just like to facilitate that for you guys. But that's way in advance once you have decided to participate, once we have allocated the students, did the matchings and all that great stuff. But that's usually the process. And then that document is a document that allows me to take your son or daughter out of the country and present it to customs and say, I'm part of an exchange program. And if they do need it, I do have it. I'll have it electronically and then I'll have a physical copy of it. It's very rare that they ask for that, but it has happened. And I have had some students that have both German passports and American passports. That is totally up to you. If your family is German and you do have a German passport, that is up to you if you want your student to travel with both passports. I usually take all passports and I don't let the students keep them unless you speak directly to me and say, I would not like for you to keep my son's or daughter's passport. I would let them take care of it. But typically, I take them all and then I give them back whenever it's needed. For example, some families, when we are in Germany, like to take students to Paris or to the Netherlands or to some other places, and they ask for the passport. So they communicate with you, and then you communicate with me, and then I give them their passport. So just to make sure that they are safe and they're not like losing them. Yes.
So everybody gets on the plane, the same flight, you're with them,
Yes,
and then you're in Germany the whole time.
I am in Germany with your students, not with them 24/7, but I'm available for them 24/7. So whenever it gets closer to the date, I give the students my phone number. Everyone has access to my phone number. We do create a group chat, and in that group chat are all the chaperones, and then they can click on my name if they want to message me privately. And I always make sure that they understand that they can message me all the time, whenever they want, for whatever they want, for whatever reason. It doesn't matter the time. So I always do say, like, I do sleep though. So if you're calling me at 3 a.m., I'm probably sleeping, so just make sure that you keep on calling if it's an emergency so that I can hear my phone. But I am available for your students 24/7, as well as the other chaperones that come along with me. And we do travel as a group. It's a group reservation, so you will probably receive a notification that I'm about to purchase the tickets or that I have purchased the tickets. And when we have those final numbers, I usually break it down into 6 months, so you're able to do comfortable payments. And then you also have the option to do a lump sum and pay for the whole exchange if you do not have a scholarship for the program. But I try to make it as manageable as possible for parents. Some parents don't want the full scholarship and say, I just need help with $500. So then we can tailor that for you. But you just need to make sure that you message me directly and then we can connect either via phone call or text or email. Again, I'll put my contact information up there so you can write it down. But basically, any email that you receive that's regarding this or a field trip or anything, when you do click reply, it'll go back to me. And then once I respond, you'll see my email and then my phone number and all of that stuff. Okay. Any more questions? No? Yes.
We love the communication.
Absolutely. I give you all the tools that you need. I give you phone numbers. I give you everything. And then you decide how you communicate with your son or your daughter, how often, how many times a day. It's a little tricky because we are 9 hours. It's a 9-hour difference. But the students don't seem to think that's a tricky thing. So that's up to you guys. And I do give you the contact information for the parents way in advance so that you as a parent can start engaging in communication if you want to. You don't have to. And then them as students as well. Mhm. And then you will also have access to my phone number and call me for anything that you need. Yes, they can take whatever they want because we are traveling abroad. I strongly encourage them to take their phones if they do have one, although I don't require them because I've had parents in the past come up to me and say, she told me that you said it was mandatory. It's not mandatory. It is preferable because I can have a direct communication with your son or your daughter. But if not, trust me, I find ways to make sure that I have that communication. I have all of the host families' contact information as well. So if your son or your daughter doesn't have a phone and you don't feel comfortable sending them with a phone, I do have that contact information as well. And then my partner in Germany as well. So we have a very strong network in terms of how we communicate, how we make sure that the students are safe. Yeah. Okay. Yes. So the process begins with the application that we gave you. So you start creating a dossier for your student and you start making sure that you answer all of the questions correctly. Once we have that, I print it out. I take it with me to Germany. We set it together, me and my German partner, and we start looking at all of the details that we ask for. And then that's when the process starts. If we need to follow up with a certain family, we do follow up and we do that individually. Mhm. But we try to match the students with students from Germany that have similar interest with your student. This is something that I always tell my students. Please remember that your match might not be a perfect match. Sometimes it is, and it's great and it's amazing. Sometimes it's not. It's part of the process. Just make sure that you're cordial, that you're respectful. You guys don't have to be the best friends of the world, but if you are, that's amazing. That's what we're aiming for, so that you have that friend on the other side of the world, and then you can communicate. And then maybe, I don't know, when your son or your daughter gets married, they go to Germany and they have someone that can foster and continue that communication. Yeah. Okay. Well, like I said, we are the only school in the county of San Diego, the only middle school in the county of San Diego that offers these type of exchanges for our middle schools. because we are an IB school, we do have our trait as global citizens, and we'd love for our students to be part of these programs. We would love for them to start opening their minds, to start getting curious about travel. How does another culture work? And how it feels to live in another country for a certain amount of time. Your student will miss you. Yes, she or she will miss you. And will you miss them? Yes, you will miss them, but it's part of the process. It's part of growing. It's part of having them experience this. And I can tell you, I've done this for 5 years now with the students. It's such a beautiful experience for them to experience that. They might be sitting right here right now thinking, meh, I don't really think so, but it really is. And it really does change them. And after we come back, you hear them talk about these things, and it's a really, really great opportunity. And the fact that we're able to give scholarships for our students, that is the most important thing for us. Yes. Yes, so that is a very important thing. We do go to school and I go to school with them as well. Same when they come here, they are expected to come to school. So when you host a student, I communicate with the German partner in Germany and I ask them to bring some khaki pants or blue pants, and then we provide the top for the school uniform. We do not wear uniform when we go back to Germany, so your student is not allowed. But for this year, I'm going to do a little tweaks. I'm not going to ask for uniforms, but I'm going to ask for them to take at least one of the polos for some of the things that we will be doing in Germany. But they do go to school. They do shadow their students, vice versa here. They come to class, they sit next to your student. Some classes, unfortunately, are very full, and some teachers do send them up to the library. I try for that not to hop in very often, but it does happen. And same when we're in Germany. If that happens when we are in Germany, I usually set a meeting spot for a student, and I am usually there so that they can check in with me, talk to me. If there's something going on, that's the perfect time for them to be communicating that with me. But they do go to school. And the times, sorry, before I say that, the school times in Germany are very different than ours. So they go in at about 7:30, I think, 7:38, and then they're out before 1 p.m. So they do have a lot of time after that to um, spend and doing other things. There's a lot of nature things, a lot of bike riding, so they have a lot of that time for connecting with their peers. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, everyone speaks English, and that is the whole purpose of this. Your student does not have to speak perfect German. He or she can, of course, but it is not a requirement for them to be super fluent. Um, this is part of it. This is part of that process too that we want them to live. That this will help them with their German. So again, if there's a specific concern that you have in terms of that, I can make sure that I communicate that with my German partner. So if there's anything, even if you think it's the littlest thing that you want me to know before I match, you let me know so that I can connect with my German partner and we are on the same page and we can accommodate for those little things. So for example, I would make sure that the student that gets placed with you has some sort of like English so that they can communicate. Yeah. And sometimes the parents in Germany are the ones that have a little bit more limited English. Not, it doesn't really happen, but in that case, the student, the exchange student is the one that usually facilitates the English process part of it. Okay. And I'm sure you will have some questions as this meeting ends. So please take the packets, the slideshows. If you have any specific questions, I am going to write down my contact information so that you are able to email me or text me. If you have any specific questions, if you want to talk to me about scholarship, if you want to talk to me about little things that you're worried about, so anything that's very like detailed oriented or specific, I can answer that privately. So it is FJ, at AEA. And then my phone number. I'll turn this off so you guys can see it. Okay, so if you want to write that down and put it on the slides or take a picture and make sure that you have that, I am happy to answer any questions you might have. I'm happy to explain anything that you didn't want to ask out in public. I am happy to help. If nobody else has any questions, thank you so much for coming. It's a pleasure. I hope I see every single student that I see here with me next year for Germany. Thank you.